The way that we're going to approach terrorism today is we're going to approach it from the position of we are part of a terrorist organization. Okay? So here's us. And we're in this organization, Al Qaeda or whatever you want it to be, ISIS. And so, just like any organization, just like we talked about with the environment, we talked about this thing called a collective action problem. So if we're in this group, we have a collective action problem. And every group has this, whether you're a mean group like a terrorist group or you're a good group like a student ministry. We all have this same problem, and that is that free rider problem. So let's talk about this for a second, talk about how we can look at this and how we can better understand how terrorist organizations operate. So organizations have to solve the collective action problem. So let's talk about what the collective action problem here is for a terrorist organization. So every organization is trying to provide, well, not every organization, the one we're talking about is trying to provide some public good. So for us, for example, maybe for an Islamic organization like Al Qaeda or ISIS, we want to implement Sharia law throughout the world, or maybe we want to implement it throughout Syria or something like that. Now here's the deal. This is that ideological question we talked about before. That's my goal. Ideological, I want some goal. And that goal is usually what we're talking about as a public good. And remember what a public good is. It's two things, right? It is let me see if I can do it now. It is non-excludable, which means once the thing's provided, everybody gets to use it. And two, non-rivalrous. My enjoyment of it doesn't hinder your enjoyment of it. So once we have provided, for example, our public good, once we provided Sharia law, this is Islamic law, throughout an area, everybody in that area gets to enjoy it. And my enjoyment of Sharia law doesn't infect your enjoyment of Sharia law. It's a public good. Now, you might say, wait a minute, that's not a good thing. I don't think that's a good thing. That's not what a public good means. It doesn't mean good. It means something that's provided that would be non-rivalrous and non-excludable. So a terrorist organization is an organization that uses terrorism, right? It's a tool to achieve some ideology. And that ideology is really what is the public good they're trying to achieve. Organizations suffer from the free rider problem, just like what we talked about when it was environmental. Or everything suffers from that free rider problem. Is that if that's true, let's say that I am living in Syria and I really want Sharia law. Okay, so I really want Sharia law to be happening in Syria. Do I join ISIS or not? Here's the thing. If ISIS is successful in producing this, I get to enjoy Sharia law in Syria, but I don't have to contribute at all. Why should I contribute to this if they're going to take care of it for me? And so you get the free rider problem even in things like this. So if successful, everyone enjoys Sharia law. If I fight, I could be killed, so why should I join? I will just sit on the sidelines, let ISIS bring about Sharia law, and then I get to enjoy it too. In the same way, why should I go clean up the beach? I'll let other people clean up the beach, and then I'll go enjoy it. This is the free rider problem. And so what we know about public goods is public goods tend to get provided. So if the public good that I want because I'm part of this organization is provision of Sharia law, Islamic law in this area, it's going to be underprovided. So my job as an organization is to solve this right here. How do other, more legal organizations solve this? Let me give you a quick example of a student ministry. So there's a student ministry that goes to feed the homeless, I think every Tuesday night here on campus, or it did before the coronavirus. So here's the deal. I, and I'm sure you, don't want the homeless to go hungry. That being said, how many of us go on Tuesday night to go feed the homeless? The answer is not many of us. We want the public good of the homeless fed. Once the homeless are fed, I know it's a weird way to put that, but once the homeless are fed, it's non-excludable. The homeless being fed is enjoying that the homeless are fed is something I can do whether I contribute it or not, and it's non-rivalrous, meaning my enjoyment of the homeless being fed doesn't hinder your enjoyment. Again, it's a very wide definition of what a public good is. So if that's true, then if it's successful, everyone gets to enjoy the fact that the homeless are fed. But if I go on Tuesday night, I won't be killed, but I've got I'll miss out on doing homework, or I'll miss out on having fun with my friends. I'll miss out on that show. I'll miss out on sleep, whatever it is. So why should I join? That's the free rider problem. So the homeless ministry is an organization that is designed to provide this underprovided public good. How do they solve this? How does any organization solve this? And then we'll understand how Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and any other terrorist organization works. The answer is internalization of externalities, a really important thing. If you need to remind yourself of what that means, go back to the environment lecture that we did last week. But what I want to just think about here is, how do I tip people, that's not the right word. How do I persuade people to join? And the answer almost always is either make it costly for them not to join, or make it beneficial for them to join, or what we might say is contribute. And that's what we're going to talk about here when we come back.